Of course, one of the big hot-button issues over the past couple of weeks, it's really taken center stage, is the rising price of gas and oil here across the United States. Of course, this has been going on since the beginning of the Biden administration, but really skyrocketing over the last couple of weeks. Joining us now is Jay Young. He has got a leadership team of over 100 years of combined excellence in oil and gas exploration and development. Jay, good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing? Good morning.
I'm doing good. Appreciate your time this morning. Yesterday, President Joe Biden making the announcement that they are going to be banning the imports of Russian oil into the United States. What is your takeaway from that?
Well, I was afraid of that when I heard, well, we're going to take away Russian oil, and then all of a sudden right behind that it says Nancy Pelosi's like, no more fossil fuels. And I'm like, oh, my gosh. And then all of a sudden he came on last night and he said, well, hey, it's going to hurt a little bit, but let's just start buying electric cars, and this is going to go away. We're going to be okay, and it's on route to $20 gasoline is what I'm afraid of here. We need oil in the United States, and I don't understand. He needs to look at a graph, or maybe I need to send it to him, and say, hey, here's U.S. production, here is the U.S. consumption, and those numbers keep going in a separate direction where we are using more oil and our demand for oil is continuing to go up and we're producing less. So we need to, until the demand, starts coming down by electric cars or whatever the case may be, we need to drill for oil and gas in the United States, and we need to let everybody know that, man, we are in this thing for long term. We're in it for short term. We want to make sure that our consumers, that when they pull up to the pump, they're not having to go back to the credit card a couple of times because it already goes past 100 and it shuts you off, and you have to reload, and it's going to go back to $150 to $200. It's going to be, this summer is going to be ugly.
That's the way it's wrapping up right now. The current administration, again, I don't care where you fall on the policy side of it, Jay. The problem I keep hearing is talks from both the press secretary, the president, everybody else. We're going to try and do things to curb this cost. Yet, maybe I'm living in la la land, Jay, but I haven't seen what this administration is actually planning to do to try and put some of those steps in place to protect consumers.
Exactly. Yeah. And somebody asked me yesterday, they said, okay, Jay, so assuming you were president, and I'm not saying I'm running or anything like that. But
You're making your announcement right here, Jay, in Wilmington?
No. Hey, a beautiful place to do it, so I'll have to admit. But they said, if you were, what would you do? And I said, man, I would go out to all the public companies right now that are holding back, and I would say, hey, we need to drill for oil and gas. I'd go to the institutions that are pulling back, that have not made the investments in oil and gas, and I would say, hey, we need to drill. Give the money back that you did 10 years ago, 5 years ago. We need that money to go to work in the oil field. It's all about positioning. It's all about talking about it. It's all about, hey, you know what? We all need to gather together and let's start drilling wells again. The government's still shutting you down. I know the Keystone Pipeline, that's Monday morning quarterbacks. We won't talk about that. Let's talk about what happened last week. And I'm going to Colorado, and I'm trying to get permits in Colorado, and it takes me 6 months to get a permit in Colorado, whereby if I go in Texas, we've got leases in Texas and Colorado Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas, I can get a permit tomorrow. And I can start drilling. But in Colorado, Wyoming, California, these are state-run, regulators, and they are stopping us from drilling oil and gas or delaying it. And I would go to them and I'd say, hey, we're going to put a moratorium on all this. Anybody that wants to drill can drill for the next 3 months. Here's permits or whatever, crazy, and let's go. We've got to drill for oil in the United States, and if we don't, we're going to hurt more and more because the delta, which is between the supply and demand, the larger that gets, the more we're going to have to go to Russia, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, all these other countries that are going to charge us a lot more money. They want us to be dependent on them.
No, absolutely. No question about it. Jay Young joins us here this morning. We're talking about President Joe Biden's announcement yesterday afternoon to ban the import of Russian oil. Jay, I caught an interesting tweet last night from one of the folks over at Gas Buddy, and it says Monday's U.S. gasoline demand plummeted by 11.1% from the prior Monday. What could possibly be causing that? Wouldn't you think demand would be up right now? What could possibly cause that demand to plummet like that?
Well, I don't know if it's the demand or if it's just people are just saying, hey, we're not going to fill up our tanks right now, or we're going to stay away because, I mean, I paid $4.30 the other day for a gallon of gasoline. So I think people will stop going as much as they were, or maybe they won't go on that family trip this year. Maybe they'll start coming down, and maybe we'll see $5, $6 gas, $7 gas, and then people will realize that, hey, I don't want to drive my car.
Yeah, and obviously
I want to do less of that because that's exactly what Biden wants. I guess he wants $10 gas, so people will stop driving.
Yeah, and of course,
cars. Now that's crazy, but because it's when you have that, you have inflation. You have everything at the restaurant is going to cost more money because it's all transported. All the groceries are going to cost more money. We're going to get into a real big hyperinflation right now because we are definitely in a global energy crisis. We're not producing oil and gas.
And again,
we need to.
The kind of lame duck response from the administration saying we're doing everything we can, yet I've yet to see anything that they're actually doing. They keep touting this U.S. oil reserve. They release a couple, 30 million barrels. Great. It's less than 2 days worth of gas. It doesn't put a dent on the price at all. So, Jay, I guess my question for you is, is there any way to stop this bleeding right now, or are the U.S. consumers just kind of holding the bag on this one?
Yeah, it's kind of out of our control right now. It's all in the hands of the government. But it's not necessarily just Biden. Not that I'm a fan. I'm a fan of his because, man, I got a buddy, one of the guy that heads our operations in our company, and he was unemployed during Trump because prices went down so much. He was unemployed. During Biden, I mean, he's feeding his family. He's doing really, really well now, and he's saying, man, I'm a Biden fan. Give me 4 more years of this.
Yeah, obviously, because all of that.
In the oil and gas business, it's a lot better for us because our investors are getting bigger revenue checks per month. Everything's going fine with us in the oil business. But on the other side, the only thing I can see is hey, if you don't have a lot of money, put some money into stocks, oil stocks right now that are going great. There's some $1, $2 stocks. If you want to do an alternative investment, look at kingoperating.com, which is my company, and we have funds available. But just, diversify your portfolio into oil and gas because we're going to be here for a while. It's not going to go down to $20, $30, $40 a barrel for a long time.
Yeah, and obviously that in conjunction with inflation and some of the other things we're dealing with, just really, really putting the squeeze on the U.S. consumer right now. Jay Young joins us. Jay, before we let you go, for folks that are wondering this decision about the banning of the Russian import, how much oil is that actually going to come down to? And do you think that'll have an immediate impact on prices, or are they just going to continue to move up at the same rate?
It's, we're not necessarily, this isn't $120 isn't because of Russia and Russia only. We have not been drilling for oil for the last 2 years. We've never gotten back to where we were prior to the pandemic. And I'm talking about drilling rigs, drilling for oil and gas in the United States. So until we get those drilling rigs back to work, we're going to have this problem. Now, yes, this is on top of it, but there's also government regulations that are making prices go down. There's institutions that aren't, lack of capital. They're not putting the money in, and also public companies. That's 4 big reasons right there. So it's not necessarily a one size fits all. And if you have I don't have the one answer. There is no one answer. It's a myriad of things that are continuing to be on top of everything that we have right now because that's why oil prices are going down. So we need to. Now the fix is to start drilling. I mean that is the fix. And I wrote in my book, Upside of Oil and Gas Investing, which you can go on the website or Apple or whatever. Read the Upside of Oil and Gas Investing. I wrote it a couple of years ago before the pandemic, and I definitely need to go back now and talk more about the supply and demand and what's going on with the world oil situation. But it is. The fix is we need more oil. Now, how we get it there's a lot of different factors that need to happen for us to get it. But once we do get it, and like Trump, we're paying $2 at the pump during Trump, $2. Now we're paying $4. We're going to go to 5 or 6. This is not going to help because the rig count, because the U.S. production. Look at the U.S. production, and look at how much we need compared to how much we're producing. That's your problem. That's why oil prices are going up.
Jay Young joins us this morning. His book, The Upside of Oil and Gas Investing. You can get it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or wherever you find your books. Jay, thanks for the time this morning. Appreciate it, and I look forward to talking with you soon, all right?
Absolutely.
Thanks
a
brother.
lot. You have a great day.